People say that my fictional James Grider character is a front man for my beliefs. First of all, if we lived in a truly free country, we wouldn't need to use fiction as a front for expressing our plots and ideas or calls to certain action from the public. I'm writing a story where James Grider has to run away from home. The story will be a failure for many reasons, which is too much off topic and to go in right now. But 90% of those reasons won't be my fault. What problems would James Grider face in a cashless society toward which we're headed in the future? If there is no more cash and everyone pays for everything electronically, how would James and Carmela Grider survive on their own? They're both 15. They're both underage. If they're running away from home, they need to be able to go into a convenience store and at least be able to buy drinks and food to sustain themselves. Call the police. They're not gonna call the police. There's no fucking telephone booths on this road. You know how far they'll have to... They'll have to run pretty far to get to the telephone booth to call the police. Because, they don't install telephone booths on dirt roads in the middle of nowhere. That's what makes it fucking great, doesn't it? No telephone booth, gotta go a long way, to call the police. If they're to use some electronic method of payment, the government will immediately know where to find them. They're 15 and considered runaway teenagers, so police are on the lookout for them. They have zero rights because they're under 18. Without cash, if you're a minor and you need to buy anything, you will be entirely at the mercy of the adults in charge of you. The adults can take away your little smartphone gadget you will be using for purchases because you're grounded. So now if you go into a store by yourself, you can't buy anything. Or they could put restrictions on what you're allowed to buy. Let's say your parents don't want you purchasing that lighter you need to secretly smoke weed, or they don't want you buying that candy that will make you fat. They can blacklist the item on your smartphone and it will refuse to pay for those items once they're scanned. In James Grider's mind, it stands to reason that in such a case the following things must be done. The parent should be brutally murdered in revenge. Have a fucking throat slashed with a knife. The convenience store clerk who refuses to make the sale anyway should be shot in the fucking face through the eye. Bankers should have bombs put under their cars or gunned down in the streets for creating such a system. Cops should be shot in the head while they're munching on donuts in their cruisers for enforcing such a system. All because James Grider was refused a sale of a lighter by some automated gadget that everybody is forced to use in place of cash. And no, that is not an overreaction to something petty, because technology controlling your life this way is not a petty issue. Technology will be used to chain people down. Unless you agree with everything the establishment or parents or teachers tell you, unless you crawl on your knees before them and submit to their mercy, technology will be used by them to lock you out of everything in life, and there will be no back doors, no sneaking around. Without cash, you can't even go out and buy anything. Without cash, You won't even be able to beg in the streets successfully. How does a mentally ill homeless bum afford a bank account and a smartphone? Not only can you not buy a lighter to burn down the house of your parents for grounding you, nor will you be able to pay your marijuana dealer because the transaction will create an electronic record that the government can look at and arrest you and the dealer. Then they can also tax every transaction. They can tax every penny. This is how terrible banks are. Right now my dad deposits $50 into my bank account every month. I can only spend 38 of those dollars because $12 is a fucking maintenance fee that the bank withdraws every month. Tell me what the fucking benefit of a bank is or an electronic transaction when if he paid me $50 in cash every month instead, I could use all of the fucking $50. James Grider might want to buy a hammer to bash someone's head in who deserves it. Hard enough so the wooden handle breaks, and he can't because the smartphone will restrict the purchase. James wants to buy a balaclava to hide his face from cameras for conducting vandalism during the night. But if we live in a cashless society, that balaclava purchase will be on record, and it will be that much easier for the police to suspect who did it. I heard that in Sweden their country has pretty much gone cashless. You can't even pay with cash for a bus ride. I guess you can still buy a bus pass with cash. But what if you're a teenager who needs to run away from home? You got piece of shit adults who will applaud this system. Imagine I could ground my teenager so well that he or she can't buy anything because I disable their electronic buying gadget. They can't even turn on their gaming console when I'm not looking because I can make it so the thing will only turn on after a retinal scan of their child's eye to turn it on. Then all they have to do is disable the retinal scan from accepting the eye of the teenager. Nobody wants to imagine what it's like to be chained down. I'm on the side of a teenager who needs to run away from home. I'm on the side of a poor man who needs to sell weed to make money. I'm on the side of these people who need to have their anonymity to stay free. I'm on the side of the people who have reasons to buy guns without letting the government know. I am not on the side of the parents. If I have a teenage son who hates me enough to run away from me at 15, then I say good for him, even if it may not make sense as to why he might hate me so. And if he runs away, then he should be able to suck a pedophile's cock for money, if that's all he can do to earn a living, and have the pedophile pay him in cash for a blowjob, so the government doesn't know about it. And then the kid can go into the convenience store and buy supplies like food that he needs to survive, without needing some smartphone to leave an electronic record of where he is, so he can be found, because he doesn't want to be found. Being able to suck someone's cock for money is not your freedom being taken away, but rather that's what makes true freedom. But adults don't agree with this shit. Every example I bring up is going to only empower a call of society where technology forcibly keeps everyone in line. Only I feel empathy for people struggling to succeed in the black market. Only I feel empathy for wayward teenagers who want to defy and hurt society. Only I feel greatly offended by society's desire for total control to a point where I sympathize with killers that hurt the innocent, to a point where I hate Elliot Rodgers' victims just because, and believe that every mass murderer out there is actually helping fight the good fight. James Grider should be able to take the fucking bus wherever he wants, on the money he might steal out of his mom's wallet, without the police being able to trace him, and he should be able to get away with this while being underage. Then if he needs to mug somebody to get more money to survive, while hiding in the forest or on the streets, he should be able to do that too. How many hypothetical scenarios do I need to depict before people realize that technology is evil, electronic transactions are evil, video cameras are evil, unless they're used for filming movies, home videos, and educational purposes, that smartphones are evil,